Hey y'all, welcome back to another video with laugh, gags, and gossip. Now let's get into the mess. Hey LGG family, this video is a replay of the interview I did with Demetrius Smith back in 2019 when all of the new allegations started to resurface about R. Kelly. So, the R. Kelly trial started this week. And Demetrius was on the stand, I believe, giving his testimony on Friday. So this is just like a replay, just in case you missed the first video. Let me tell y'all something. I know I overtalked the man. I overstepped him a lot of times. I apologize. So please save your comments. I went through all of the critiquing back in 2019. This is when I was first starting my YouTube channel. No excuses, but save the comments because, okay, I already know. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this replay. Have a great day. Bye.
But we are recording now. Times you've been gracious enough. It's been my fault. I appreciate you being with me. I am speaking with Demetrius Smith, the ex-tour manager and personal assistant to R. Kelly. I have you live on the phone. So let's just get into it. There's a lot of stuff going on. I want you to introduce the name of your book and just give a brief background as to your relationship to R. Kelly, please.
Hey, good morning, Ned. How you doing? Thank you for inviting me on the show. Again, my name is Demetrius Smith. I was R. Kelly's former personal assistant and tour manager. I worked with R. Kelly from 1985 to 1995. I worked with R. Kelly during the early years of his career. 10 years ago, I released a book entitled The Man Behind the Man, Looking from the Inside Out. That book was released, and the media knew about it.
Okay.
And it describes my relationship with Robert beginning in his early years. I was an entertainer when I met Robert.
Mm-hmm.
I was a singer, and I was on like a break for the end of the winter time because it was hard traveling on the highways in Chicago in the winter in the back of a U-Haul truck. So we took a break, and I went to work with my friend Cliff, and he taught me how to be an anchor man. We videotaped different talent shows.
Okay.
This particular night, we went to Kenwood Academy where I saw Robert Kelly on stage, a shy, bashful kid, and he performed an original song which captivated the audience and me.
So that's where you met R. Kelly. Yes. At the time he was Robert, and he was a kid. About how old was he at that time?
He was 16 at that time.
Okay, so you made a couple points that I just want to go back on. You said you wrote your book 10 years ago.
Yes.
So this is not, so I saw you in the Lifetime docuseries Surviving R. Kelly. So your book, because I've read your book, details some of the things that the girls are talking about now. So you came out with some of these allegations years ago, a decade ago.
Yes, I did. I was pretty much one of the first ones that exposed. Well, when it was presented to me that R. Kelly was really having affairs with a young girl, it was Tiffany Hawkins, and
okay.
I took Tiffany to an attorney because I don't do police. I was younger then too. This was all a new experience to me.
So I'm gonna stop you right there, Demetrius, because I want everybody to really follow this timeline. When you wrote your book, you weren't writing about R. Kelly. It was an autobiography about your life, and it happened to include or be connected to R. Kelly, right? So this wasn't, when you were writing about some of these sexcapades and all this, you weren't really doing a tell-all about him. You were just talking about your life.
Well, yes. When I left R. Kelly in '95, it was a difficult time for me. And I left him, I was broke. When I left him, I had 4 children that my sisters were keeping for me while I worked with him. I was a single parent. And when I left R. Kelly, it was time to go home and make a home for my children that we never had. And
How could you be broke working with R. Kelly?
Robert Kelly didn't pay anyone. Robert Kelly he didn't treat his people good. He didn't treat us good. In the beginning, we worked without money. I worked with him 5.5 years before he even got a deal. And that was my own sacrifices. I began to put him in. I had a band put together for him that included his brother Bruce. Killer was supposed to be, one of the acts, and we got that going, and it seemed like it had great potential because I wanted to put Robert on the road to do the military circuit. I wanted him to work to earn his money, and what happened was I took him to people that were sponsoring me when I was singing, and I introduced him to them, and they took a liking to him instantly and began to finance us, putting them in the studio, and a lot of that interfered with my plan. They were supposed to have been supporting me, and I took what I did to make Robert happy, but instead,
they pushed him out there to be the star. So were you
there?
They
wanted to run it. Yeah.
Were you there when with that first big break with Natalie Cole? Were you part of that era? Okay, so tell us about that beginning and that first experience. So that beginning of the making of R. Kelly.
Well, again, this came after. That came right after I took them to the people that sponsored me. Again, those things are written in my book.
Of course,
in sequence, and that came after, because during that period when my sponsors tried to take over what I was doing, we fell out. And when we fell out, they had began giving Robert money. They had began just catering to Robert, and nobody else around him was getting anything, and we weren't working. Our work was Robert Kelly, because I was hustling to make money with Robert, because he was a kid that didn't know. He wasn't going out here to hustle. He just played the piano, and he sang, and he was bashful, and he stayed in the house. When I came to get Robert, it brought him out. He began to stand up. He began to mold himself. After I think he looked up to me like a big brother, like a father,
big brother
with a big uncle image.
When you say you started to mold him, tell me some of the things that you did, because you said he was bashful. Like what? Bashful how? He wouldn't talk to people. Like what? Let us know.
He wouldn't really talk to people. Robert was super silly. Robert was super silly. I think that he was I think he was a little bit frightened of people in the early days. I think that I built his courage. I think that I helped him with courage. And once he began to see how powerful, how big of an effect his music had on people, then he began to stand up. He began to step out. And every time he would perform, I'm telling him how to do it, drill him, man, you got to put this in there. Don't be, But see, then Robert caught an imagination of his own, just like he writes songs. He doesn't read and write, but he writes songs. And so that means his imagination just blows up once he takes something in. And that's
the fact that he couldn't read and write, do you think that caused him to be kind of bashful and insecure? And when you came along, you kind of gave him confidence? And
I think that. I believe that. I believe that that's how it is. I believe that Robert is a clone of a man to me regarding who he is. And now after my sponsor's situation failed, it drew me to the streets. It took me back to the streets because I had to feed myself. I didn't have kids then. It was just me. And I put those years in Robert. And when that failed, I couldn't take care of Robert. We can go to Subway, but Robert, I couldn't make enough money being with Robert and get him to the next level. So I hit the streets, and I began to resort to my learned behavior as a kid, growing up in the streets of Chicago on the west side, and Cabrini Green, Henry Horn, and K-Town. And I had a street image that got money, so I went out and I made money, and I went to jail after that, and I actually went to rehab treatment.
But we want to know what some of the things that you saw when you were with Robert in that camp. There are a lot of things coming out now, and I know because you and I've had discussions at length, and I want you to clear up some things. During the docuseries on Lifetime, it came out, or it sounded as if you forged a document. Can you talk about that? Because I think people believe that you forced something. So, yes. Let us know about that.
Thank you for asking that. I did not force any documents. What happened was Lifetime, again, me and Lifetime talked about 3.5 hours. Talking about Robert's beginning, going over my book. They called me because of my book. And they threw questions at me, and I was fumbling with words. And as you see, I'm talking a little faster, a little slower now. Because I want to make sure my words are correct. Because my
take
words
your time.
get twisted so fast, and it's just a shame how things get twisted and how I'm portrayed.
Well, people can twist. The media will twist words.
Yes,
I mean, you're talking to somebody who's not.
Let me answer that question, okay? And that was about the forging. I did not forge anything. I did not put my signature on anything. What I did was I didn't drive them. They followed me to a location that they didn't know where that. So they followed me in the car to a place where Aaliyah went in and got identification. That identification got her marriage license. I did not force anything.
Okay, so stop right there. You were there. Did Aaliyah go willingly? I mean, do you believe this is something she wanted?
I believe Aaliyah was a child, and I believe that Aaliyah was confused, and I believe that what happened should not have happened. And
that's a great answer.
Again, I need to go back and if I could turn back the hands of time, I think better today, and I think better today.
Yes.
And had I made a different decision, I think it would be different. So that pains me, and that's that.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was a lot of people
forgive
involved.
Myself and all that. I have to.
You have to forgive yourself.
But it doesn't stop hurting. Okay, it doesn't stop hurting.
I know.
Tell me to forgive myself. Don't tell me that anymore.
Okay. Okay.
People upset me with that because they don't stop hurting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds like a painful memory, Yeah.
I mean, it hurts that I didn't make the right decision. It hurts because maybe that's why all this is happening.
Do you think do you think you could have stopped it though? To be honest, look back at what was going on. Could you have stopped it?
Yeah, I could have whooped his ass. See, I asked whooping to change this thing, man.
Yeah.
But when you let people just go by and go by and go by, they grow into that ugly
monster.
They grow in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what has happened. Robert Kelly was a sweet kid. Robert Kelly is a fun kid. Robert Kelly is he's super silly, but at the same time he's gentle and he's kind. R. Kelly is a monster.
Yeah.
He has grown. He has grown inside that kid, man, and that's another story. Come on, come.
It sounds like you guys are talking about two people. When I hear everybody who knows R. Kelly, they talk about Rob and R. Kelly, and one person sounds like a very humble, gentle, wonderful person, and the other person sounds like a demon.
He is. He is, and people don't understand that. And I'm looking at the Lifetime series, and I'm not condoning Robert Kelly for his actions. I'm not trying to come to his rescue for what he's done with Tiffany or what he's done with Aaliyah and that video that I saw. However, I can't stand on Robert when it comes to the video of Sparkle's niece because they found
you got to go back. You said Tiffany. What happened with Tiffany?
Tiffany, I didn't explain what Tiffany.
I know it's in your book. Girl. I know it's in your book, but go give us a little detail because people are gonna go by the book. But tell us a little bit about Tiffany.
Tiffany Hawkins was one of Aaliyah's background dancers and singers. However, R. Kelly knew Tiffany before Aaliyah, but I found that out later. That was not circulating when I was with him. When I got with Robert in the years once we got the deal, then we put together the group Public Announcement. This is after MGM. MGM was Robert's first group. Then Public Announcement. Now we put together Public Announcement and the Girl Dancers. The dancers came after public. But anyway, the girl dancers.
Yes.
And public announcement.
Okay.
Once we put them together, I forgot the question you asked me.
Tiffany Hawkins. She was one of the dancers.
Yes. They used to come and practice to be background vocals and dancers for Aaliyah. That's when he started. That's when I started noticing them. Okay, coming around, and they used to come around and be at the Robert's apartment building. He had a dance studio there. That's where they would be when I came, and they would be in there practicing, and their parents, grown folks, would be there too. I don't know who was who.
Oh,
I just saw little girls dancing, and I saw grown folks there. So I'm assuming that's their parents.
So it was supervision. It wasn't just like these girls were with him alone. Their parents and other people were around.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Absolutely. Now, when I would leave that section, because Robert didn't need no monitoring when it came to rehearsing.
Yeah.
Robert was he created the dance steps. He created the vocals. He created the attitude. Once he began to come into his own, then it was everything was new to him, and he was excited about what he was building inside of himself. Mm-hmm. So he grew in everything just as he did in his music, and his confidence had just come all the way up. He just knew, because I kept him knowing, man, I would take him places when he was little, when he was 16, 17 years old, take him everywhere with me and have his piano with him, and I'll stop at picnics. We'll stop downtown at different bars and in the evening time, because he was young, he couldn't get in the clubs, but I would go in the hotels that had piano bars, and I would sit him down in there and he'd sing, and we put our cup up there and we get money, and we just was always busy making money and preparing and advertising them. Mm-hmm.
Demetrius, I'm going to take you back to Tiffany Hawkins. What happened with Tiffany Hawkins? How old was she? Give us her age and give us what happened.
Not sure how old Tiffany was, because
approximately.
I didn't really know them.
Okay.
Approximately 16, 17.
Okay.
Could have been 18.
Okay, could have
been 18. You see, at that time, because I didn't know.
Okay. We're going to keep you on task here. What happened?
Okay, Tiffany Hawkins was the first girl. Again, she was Aaliyah's background vocals, and Tiffany wanted a career in this. When Tiffany found out that Robert did something with Aaliyah, I forget which one was first. It hurt Tiffany.
That's fine. Yeah.
She thought that she was Robert's girlfriend. And I had no idea this was going on. I had seen Tiffany, yes, again, but didn't have any idea that how long Robert had knew her, none of that. Okay, I used to see them girls, little girls, young girls, come to wherever we rehearsed at, because we rehearsed on Lakeshore Drive at the park, and Tiffany came to me. She called me one day. I was working, and she called me, and she was crying, and she was totally upset, and she worried me. And I asked her where she was, and it was a life and death situation at that moment with Tiffany. Again, those things I make long story short, because everything I talk about,
it's in the book. I wrote about. It's in the book. Yes.
And so Tiffany, I went to her, and she was in a hysterical state. I convinced her to believe in me, and she did. And what I convinced her to do was, she told me that she didn't tell me exactly that Robert had touched her, but what she told me was that, she was upset and she was going to hurt herself, because she thought he loved her and he was doing this and that, and I was the one that his girlfriend. And I know she said that he touched her. Robert touched her. She said, I've been messing with Robert for long. I said, what? I said, girl, you don't got to do this to yourself. That's a low down thing. You don't do that. Now, I got this person. You go talk to this person. And now she stopped to listen to me, because I was telling her how she could get some redemption from what she felt. And she listened to me, and I advised her to go to an attorney. She called me also, and I called Robert too, because this was unacceptable to me. So I called Robert and said, Robert, this girl here out here trying to hurt herself, man. What's going on?
What did he say?
And he said, man, where's she at? Man, bring her here, man. Bring her. He said, well, I'm not going to bring her there, man, because she's hysterical, man. You talking to her, come here. You talking to her, come here. And then I told her, exactly, I'm not biting punches. I said, well, he wants to talk to you. I let her talk to him. And then she talked to him. And I said, Tiffany, she wanted to go see him. I said, well, Tiffany, you really shouldn't be. This is the lady who I want you to go see. And
yes.
she went down there with Robert, and that next morning she went to see that lady. And what's her name? They called me. The attorneys called me and brought me down there, and they asked me what happened. I said, I didn't know. I told them that what Tiffany told me, and I thought that it was wrong, and that's why I brought it up. And from there, they called, and they made deals. And I
it sounds like what's been reported is that she got a settlement from him. So there must have been something inappropriate.
I thought that was wrong. And then right after that, all this was going on during the Aaliyah era with the marriage. And after that, I just didn't like Robert no more. I just didn't like him no more, and I left. We didn't get along with nothing because he wouldn't listen to me about anything, and I left. Mm-hmm.
So people are asking, again, this is for you to tell, there's a lot more detail in your book, Man Behind the Man. Mm-hmm. So, of course, we want people to go out and purchase that. I will put a link in this video. But people want to know, did you see anything? So you're talking about Tiffany Hawkins. No. Let them explain to them how come you weren't aware of it, because so many people in his camp are saying, well, I didn't know what was going on. So give your perspective as to how you couldn't see that he had a fondness for young girls. Let us know. Okay.
We went to meet. You taking me into some details, and I can only describe your answer in 2 words, in 2 ways. Mm-hmm. Robert Kelly and R. Kelly are 2 different people.
Okay.
2 different. There's a spirit in a man that's evil, that's wicked. We all have a spirit in us that's evil and wicked. One is evil and one is good. Okay. Now, what you learn by ways of consequences and discipline.
Yes.
Now, when you get disciplined, when you're disciplined, when a person listens and does what their parents say, then they are disciplined in a way to help you to understand the demons in you, basically. When my mama used to make me stay in a room from doing something wrong and I couldn't go outside with my friends, it stopped me from doing the things that I was doing wrong because I wanted to go outside with my friends.
Yes.
When I committed crimes and I went to prison, I would come out of my cell thinking I was tough and I didn't want nobody to think I was weak, and I would fight. And then I would get beat up by the police or get into it with people all the time. Now, when I went back in my cell and they locked me up, I didn't want to go back out of my cell and get beat up by the police or get into it with guys. So I had to contain that evil in me, you see, so that I would not do that. And then I grew into goodness. Okay.
So bring this back to Bring this back to Robert.
I'm going there right now. Now, in regard to Robert, he has those same. You do too. You have those same 2 spirits in you of good.
I'm an angel. I'm good.
You're an angel because you went through. You learned by way of discipline, or you learned by way of consequences.
Oh yes.
Now, Robert, the same thing. Mm-hmm. Robert has never had any discipline. Robert has never dealt with consequences. His consequences were, well, okay, man, we can work this out. We'll work it out. We'll work it out. And then he was king when he was little, and people would give him what he wanted. And he, learning the way he is now, that he was raised in abuse, sexual abuse, that sex demon in him is strong. I mean, you got to go into biblical things when you talk about Robert right now. It's a biblical thing, and it sounds out of all because that's a spirit that's risen in him. And if you know the Bible, and the Bible says if the body is the temple of Christ, then when you have sex, and the Bible says it's better to marry than to burn in hell, because the more you have sex with different people, those spirits, you take on those spirits. Now, here's a kid that's been raised in abuse. And the only spirit he takes in is a sexual spirit from different people. From my understanding of what his brother said, that he was molested as a kid, and Robert said by people in my family. People. He didn't say one person. He said by people in my family. So that means several people he was being involved with. So that means he was being raised in abuse. He was being taught in abuse. So that demon in him grew strong like a wild weed, and now it's into a stump. Now it's like a tree. And it's hard to cut down. And see, I'm not defending Robert Kelly. Let me finish this. So I want you to understand. I'm not defending Robert Kelly for his actions with Tiffany, Aaliyah, and that girl he pissed on. He needs to go inside himself and take that demon out of him, because that was wrong. Now, the girls that were up there on that panel now, that's a different story. They walked in a pattern that they wanted. See, Robert, I've never known Robert Kelly to be abusive to a girl, to a woman.
Okay.
See, when I was with Robert Kelly,
you've never witnessed it.
No, I've never witnessed Robert shouting at a woman. Robert taught me how to be gentle to a woman. Robert Kelly taught me that. I watched Robert with women. Samada, Kim Delaney, several women. When I said on Lifetime that I used to fly people in and out, I was not talking about minors. And Lifetime placed my words where they wanted them to be. See, they placed me there as if I was there. I don't see why R. Kelly can't sue Lifetime because they truly created this program to bring him down. And I'm not a
wait a minute. So you participated, and so now let's bring it back, because now you're saying you think that he can sue Lifetime for this? You participated in...
It's everything that's going against this man. They found him not guilty.
Okay.
Therefore, we're bringing that back up. That should not be able to be brought up. You've got girls up there violated agreements that they took money. Now they're violating that agreement. You got his wife up there saying she didn't know what kind of man he was when it all began with her.
Let's say, let's clarify who the wife is. We're talking about Drea Kelly, right?
They're talking about Drea Kelly. And then you got another woman up there, 31 years old, or she was a woman when he met her, and she was a DJ or something. She knew he was married. That's a violation.
She wasn't, are you saying that she was with him while he was married? No. Oh. Okay.
Okay. Wow. This girl was the same girl that was on the I Wish video, and I went back to Robert on the I Wish video. My daughter was in that video. That's the girl who braided his hair.
You got all kind of history. Yeah.
And like I say, his wife was one of the first ones that, I mean, the way that Robert is, Robert became controlling. And I think that is because of his illiteracy and his abuse. We shaped the man. Robert's characters, his stage presence is a lot of me. His music is all him. But the man that he is, we shaped him. I shaped him. Barry Hankerson shaped him. And everybody that softened him, that didn't discipline him, that let him get away with the things that he did to hurt them, we all shaped the monster that he is.
That's what I was going to say. People allowed him, not necessarily that everybody aided him, but people gave him a pass because of who he was. We all gave a pass. And the people that he violated with me was the first one. That's when I first learned his character. But when the people that were supporting me came to Robert Kelly and they tried to take him over, they were giving him money, and then next thing you know, it's a fair going on in there. That should not have went on. Robert should have had a little more honor and morals to not mess with somebody or burn a bridge that was taking care of him. These people were supporting Robert, and he violated the man and messed with his wife. Okay. So you told me
Let me finish this. I have to not blame Robert for that because he was a minor himself. So that's another state of abuse that he grew up in.
You mentioned that to me, and that situation is in the book, correct? We're not even going to talk about that. We're going to let them go to the book. But what I will say is what you told me is that he was even abused or sexually, that women in their 20s, 27, was still having sex with him when he was 16. So his level of abuse has continued like for years.
Robert has been walking in abuse. His whole life is walking in abuse. I didn't know about what was going on in his household. I didn't know about what was going on in his household. I had heard that, but I didn't see that. And I think I had Robert feel confident when he was with me to know that I would protect him. I've been in places with Robert and people have been disrespectful, and I had to knock a few people out for Robert. You see?
Wow.
I was loyal to Robert.
What you mean disrespectful in terms of how?
Well, we would be somewhere in Robert, and one time we were in Detroit. And we were up there we were in the studio doing something. I think it was with Gladys, or he was doing some musical stuff with on one of his songs. And we would go out, and girls would come. Right, they knew Robert Dean, and we picked up a few girls. And when I say girls, I mean women. I mean teenage women.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't mean babies, please.
Right,
Robert
right.
didn't mess with
I get
babies
it.
with me. I didn't stand for that, okay? Now, when we would pick up girls, we'd pick up young women, and we would go out and have fun. And
of course.
one of the guys, it was one of his girlfriends. And when we took her home, the guy was waiting for her.
Oh.
And was waiting at the house. You know, our jealous boyfriend, he was waiting.
Of course.
When we got there. We had not did anything with this young lady. We had that. I don't know. They didn't do nothing in my sight. But at the same time, it was late at night. We dropped her off, and she got out the car, and this dude jumped out the car. And Rob got out the car. He said, "Hey, man, what's up? Johnny, what's this, man?" And I got out the car with him. I said, "What's going on, man?" I said, "Man, don't grab the woman, man," because he was been to be violent with her. And Robert said, "Man, don't let him touch that, man." And so I went over and knocked the dude out because he kept on coming at me talking crazy. And I don't be arguing. Fuck him. I don't do that. And we left after we left him. And there are certain other situations that happened that I had to, me and Robert have had some, go ahead.
I want to go back to the Drea Kelly, because you mentioned that some of these women sitting up on the panel knew what was going on, as if they're saying they're victims. We're not talking about the young girls, the pedophilia. We know that is wrong. But let's talk about the grown women and what you saw. Now, there's two people in particular that people were talking about, Sparkle and Andrea. Andrea, rather.
I never, Andrea's wife. I know for a fact that she was a dancer.
Yes.
I know for a fact that she was submissive to Robert's, I don't want to say demands to Robert, what Robert asked him to do. She was submissive to that.
Okay. So you said she agreed to it, she wanted to do. Okay.
Robert, I don't know Robert to have a cult or to. I mean, it's not brainwashing. He just chooses people that think like he does, and Robert is illiterate. Robert cannot. He can have fun with an older woman, and if they want to have sex with him, they want that. And Robert will do it with probably anybody, but older women liked him and were interested in him. But Robert was a young man, and he had a wild, his little head overruled his big head, and he couldn't be contained by a woman because he didn't have trust in women or people. But yet he was gentle to every woman that I've known Robert to be with.
Okay, back to Drea. Now, you said she agreed.
Drea.
Yes.
Yeah, because Robert had three female dancers, and all three of them used to sleep in the same room with him. All three of them used to get off the show and go right to the bus like he asked them to. They all had a choice to leave because they used to come to me. Andrea, all of them used to come to me talking about what they would like to do, and I used to tell them to go to the mall. I said, "Y'all go ahead, man. Y'all don't got to stand. Go ahead. I'll take the weight for it." And because I used to tell them, and I tell Robert, "I told you to go. I dropped you off here." You see, well, I didn't think that you should. I think that you're a grown person and you're doing a job here. That's it. And Robert wanted to control everything that came in. Robert, we fell out a lot because I'm his tour manager. I'm his personal assistant. I have a job.
Yes.
He would not allow me to do my job. He wanted to do my job too. Robert wanted to control me to where
he controls everything.
He controlled everything. You see, we went on tour with Gerald Levert. We went on tour with LL Cool J, Salt and Pepper. It was always something, and I was always the one that kept it smooth. I had so much work to do. I didn't have time to really look at Robert and his activities. When we got to different cities, I took Robert to a mall in every city.
Okay. So now let me say, but were you passing out those notes to the girls? Because now that's another thing that people are confusing you with, saying you're giving out those notes. Okay.
No. Okay. I didn't pass out any notes. What I did this was born into the 90s. This is when we first got started. This was the born into the 90s tour. Then we went to the 12 play tour. During those times, Robert it was a lot of girls. And we would go to the mall in the early times when I would go with him was to get him noticed. Hey, y'all, that's that guy that was on that radio. Ain't that R. Kelly? That R. Kelly dude. Robert needed to be built with confidence, and I was in the habit of doing that. So I made people aware of him. And they would go flocking, and he would sign autographs and be shy, and act like he was just shy, like, man, he's so sweet. He was deceptive.
I'm about to say that sounds like a deception.
Right. He was. But we didn't know this. You see, this is that demon in him. What's the devil's job? Steal, kill, destroy? He's in all of us. Do we allow him to stand strong? He stood strong in Robert. Robert is a light. This whole thing is not about him, but yet the truth must be revealed, or it's going to keep coming around, because that's what God intervenes.
Okay, we're gonna go back to Drell. Why did he get married if he knew that he wasn't gonna be able to be with just one woman? As far as you know.
Why would a woman marry him? Why would a woman marry him knowing that he's always been with more than one woman? That's the
lifestyle, the money.
But now you're complaining about these different women when she knew it. She knew what was going on with Robert. She stayed in the room just like them girls do. She did it.
What you mean stayed in the room?
When Robert she didn't talk to us anymore. We didn't have a relationship with Andrea and them. They couldn't really talk to us because that's what Robert had told them. And he told the band, hey man, y'all, I'm not going to associate with other groups. When we go do concerts, we was on tour with Salt and Pepper. He didn't want nobody to associate with them. I did. His brother did. Bruce did. The band did. But the dancers and the girls, they weren't supposed to associate. You see.
Demetrius, can you please explain, because I've heard that from multiple people, why? What is the reason why people cannot talk? What is the issue? Because it makes no sense to the average person. Why wouldn't he let people talk?
Here's a person that has never been in control. Here's a person that has been abused all his life. Here's a person that has been called a dummy and illiterate, and now he's got power. This is something he's not used to, and now he sees the control. He got lost in that. A demon is controlling that. Again, when I keep saying stuff like that, I want you to know I'm not condoning Robert for what he did. I'm not condoning that demon in him to say that.
Yes.
I'm not condoning that demon. I think he needs some help. And I don't think that, I think that he's being jumped on. I think it's unfair of what he's going through with the media, with the police, with the city. I think all that's unfair. I think that he should be able to sue everybody, in my respect. But this is all because he walks proud. I think that he should walk differently because of the things that has occurred that are true.
There's a lot of truth and lies mixed up, and I think some people are probably capitalizing on the fact
the truth is Tiffany Hawkins. The truth is Aaliyah. The video was thrown out, so that's gone. Now you got another little girl saying she was 14, 15, 16. Why isn't he arrested for that? That means there's something funny in that. You see?
What do you mean?
You got a girl on TV saying he met her outside at the courthouse and he did this and that.
Oh, Geronda, yes.
Right. Now, why isn't he arrested for that? That was a violation. Can she prove it? And apparently she's on that show and they haven't arrested him for her?
He had an agreement with her. He paid her off.
Then she shouldn't be on there. Then she shouldn't be on there. Then where does the law stand strong at? Then she shouldn't be on there. Okay. Now
so you're saying it's a breach. You're saying it's a breach of contract for her to go speak on something.
If contract mean anything, I took Tiffany to a state official. I thought that her obligation was to report this because she was a minor. Therefore, if he bought his way out, he bought his way out. Why couldn't Bill Cosby do the same? You see, if you can buy your way out of stuff.
Yeah.
So everybody's allowed him to get a pass. Now you want to take everything that he did in the past and redo him with it. That's wrong.
That's interesting. No, you got a good point. Everybody took a pass when they were getting the money, and now maybe that the money is funny, now people are coming forward because now there's more to be gained to tell now. I mean,
why are you still talking about that girl? Why are you still talking about that girl in the tape and he's still with her? Why are you still talking about the Savage's daughter and she's still with him?
What do you mean? Wait. You said the girl in the tape is still with him. The young lady. I think they say Rashonda. I might have the name wrong. She's still with them?
Sparkle's niece.
She's still with them?
I've heard that she is. That's what I'm thinking. But if she's not, still, why they ain't talking to her? You see, why are you talking about Aaliyah? We know that happened. He finally admitted that. He finally
Yes,
sent
he
the lawyer
did.
up front
He
to
did.
say that. Yes, he did. Okay, that's done. He did that. To me, I'm uncomfortable with Robert when it came to Aaliyah because he did that and he should have stood honorable with Aaliyah because Aaliyah was a kid and we loved Aaliyah.
Yes.
We loved her and I hurt over her. And I think that her family has gone through enough in respect to talking about her and talking about her mama being in the bed. That's done. Aaliyah's not here to defend herself, and her mother doesn't have the courage to do that. She's lost her husband. So let's leave Aaliyah alone. Let's leave that subject alone, okay?
Yes. I understand.
Aaliyah had no fault in this. None.
Mhm.
She was a young child. And anything after that.
And it's sad that there are some people dragging her name through the mud behind this. It's really sad, though, that part.
It's really sad. Those people don't have any, that's that spirit in us. That same spirit that's controlling Kelly has gotten strong. We all have it in us, y'all.
Okay, let's go back
to a man that's ugly. Okay.
Let's go back to Sparkle. Now, she just did an interview yesterday on the Breakfast Club, and she says that she did. Well, I don't want to say, and all of this stuff. I'm going to say allegedly because it's not my story to tell. This is your story, a book you wrote 10 years ago about your life that included R. Kelly. But she said that she didn't have a relationship with R. Kelly, a sexual, or she alluded to that. Some people are calling me yes. Did she or didn't you from what you saw? Okay.
I did not know Sparkle. I knew Earl, who was a member of Public Announcement. I knew that Earl quit the group. I knew after that Robert was producing Sparkle and that I know Robert. And then I heard that Robert had an affair with Sparkle. And
were you around during that time?
Yes.
Were you around? Okay.
No, I was out. I had just left.
Okay.
I just left.
But close enough to know what was going on, yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know that Robert had seduced Sparkle, and I know that it broke Earl's wedding marriage up. Robert has hurt some people. I mean, even the people that supported me, Robert, there was infidelity there. However, Robert was young, and I put that on them because they were older. Mm-hmm. So that was another form of abuse. Okay, now, they should deal with the same things Robert's dealing with in respect to looking at people as being pedophiles, okay? Even me, in dealing with women sometime when I was younger. My children's mother was younger. I'm not hiding from my past because I grew to make me a better man. I walked through some things that I'm not proud of. But it made me the man I am today. I sought understanding in the things that I did wrong and why I did them. I fought my demons. Robert Kelly has never fought his demons. Andrea, his wife, she knew her husband. She knew him. Okay, he did not just start doing this. And again, I can't say what they went through behind closed doors in respect to how they their relationship of abuse. But I know Robert can get mad just like any other man. And if you're set in certain ways and you do certain things for a certain length of time, then you get tired of doing something. But that opportunity to leave is always available. Robert is not holding anyone hostage.
So you don't believe that he kept the women? You don't believe he kept the women and wouldn't allow them to leave and not feed them? Because now that seems. I mean, let's be honest. Why would they lie and say, "Oh, he didn't let me eat for 3 days"? Like, who makes up a story like that, Demetrius?
I'm gonna tell you this. I had an artist. Her name was Shannon. Shannon was a Caucasian, was a white girl, and very talented young girl. She lived in South Bend, Indiana. I met her out there at a Builder Square, and I wasn't with Robert anymore. And I was trying to find myself, and I ran across Shannon and heard her singing, and I was like, wow, this white girl can go. And so I took Shannon under my wing, and I thought about it. I said, well, I ain't working with Robert. Maybe he'll produce her for me, right? And we were still cool. We were still on talking terms. I just didn't want to work with him no more because it was still buck wild, meaning that he was still girl crazy. And I think every entertainer does that when they're young. Yes. But Robert was older, but his mind was young. Now, when I took Shannon to Robert, I told Shannon, I said, Shannon, Robert's going to want you to stay in the studio with him. He's going to want to do this and that. He's going to want to. Next thing you know, you'll be staying overnight. And then when you do that, Shannon, you're not going to get anything done. Now, I'm your representative. Please listen to me when it comes to Robert. I want you to go in there today. He's going to like you because one thing, you're super cute. Two, you can sing. Now he's going to say, okay, Johnny, I'm going to work with you. She's going to stay tonight because he's going to want to seduce you. He's going to want to control you. And she wouldn't listen to me because next